The 1989 long ago and far away version of Noah's Ark is pretty great, and it actually made me think about things that I'd never really thought about with the story before, and I will share those thoughts. And it also has kind of a dark moment as well. This was released, as I said, in 1989. It's directed by Steve Majaury and Rick Morrison, written by Barbara Brenner, based on the version by Peter Spear. And it's narrated by James Earl Jones, and the narration is, of course, brilliant. And the story is the classic story of Noah's Ark, where Noah is instructed to build an ark and gather two of every animal, and then we have the flood, and the world is restored to the way it should be. And I won't go into too much more detail. I'm sure you're aware of the story. It is a really good telling, and I wasn't sure how they'd managed to stretch it out for the full half an hour. That's not to say I haven't seen versions like this before. There is, of course, a recent feature-length version, but in terms of animations, they're usually a little bit shorter, but it never felt stale. It never felt slow, so that definitely works in its favour. The animation is really stunning. Really thoroughly enjoyed the visuals. And then we had some interesting moments. So I guess they're spoilers. It's not spoiling the narrative, but these are specific things that I thought about, things that I thought were maybe done a little bit more believably and a bit more accurately than other versions that I've seen. So I will share those thoughts now. And the first one, it kind of made me laugh, but then it became quite dark. And the animals are going on two by two, but then other animals try and get on. For example, a bunch of ants try and get up, and Noah has to put his foot down, literally, to stop more than two ants getting on the ark. And we see this with other animals where they're trying to go on not in pairs, and Noah has to stop them. And that felt really realistic. Well, as realistic as it can be. And it was a little entertaining to begin with. But then it went dark, because the animals are all on in their pairs, and Noah has to shut these really huge, heavy doors. And the sound effect there was amazing. But as he closes the doors to the ark, we see all of the other animals left behind. And there's the implication there that the flood is going to come and all of these animals are going to die. And that's not something I'd ever thought about with Noah's Ark before. And that's kind of upsetting, because what had those animals done? What did they do to deserve to be killed? That's not something I'd ever considered, and it was definitely an interesting moment. And the other interesting moment, and again, something I'd never thought about with Noah's Ark, is that once they were able to release the animals, we got close-ups of various animals, and we saw some of them. For example, we saw a cat with kittens. And I'd never thought about the fact that, yes, all of these animals might well have fit onto the ark, but they're going to reproduce while they're on the ark. Some of them will, not all of them. And they will multiply. And how are they still all going to fit on the ark by the end of it? So that's something I'd never thought about before. And as I said, it feels like a very realistic version. And we see the ark once all the animals are off of the boat, and it's a mess. It is a pigsty. And again, realistic. And I just don't think I've ever seen such a realistic version in an animation. And it was quite thought-provoking. Really fascinating. I definitely enjoyed it. The dark moments are certainly interesting, to say the least. And if you're a fan of Noah's Ark, or you're just looking to watch an animated version, then I'd say this 1989 version is a pretty decent one to go with.